It's time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by PSE Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Adams, sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFaw, enjoying a nice spring April 2nd evening.
April 2nd already.
It is.
15 days away from the Michigan opener.
Where is winter went?
Well, in Michigan, it came back.
And it's still hanging around a little bit every now and then.
It's trying to hang on, but it left for, I think, well, last week it was raining all week, and then we had a day of sunshine and 60 degrees today, I think. I think it's supposed to rain coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot through the week here anyway, from what I've seen so far.
But it's time to get out and do some turkey evaluating.
Is that what you got on tap for this week?
This week is my plan to start the annual trip out, take some walks in the evening.
All right.
Since I'm up before the turkeys are out of the roost, typically on a weekday, I can't go in the morning, so I'll go out in the evening and go check out the typical places. I've got a couple extra places on my mind.
So tomorrow morning will actually be 2 weeks from your opener.
2 weeks, yes.
Okay, all right.
Actually, 2 weeks from today is Easter, right?
That's right, it is. Yep.
So, yeah, that's, and that's another thing. April. A little busy.
It is, but you know what? We've got to give a shout out. Actually, today's April 2nd. On April 1st, 2 years ago, we launched the Outdoor Podcast channel. So, our second birthday.
You're right. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
You're two.
Two, yeah. Yesterday, we were two.
You act like a 2-year-old sometimes.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
Quite a bit, actually. But, yeah, and speaking about that, we want to give a little time here to the Outdoor Podcast channel. For those of you who don't know what that is, we run a podcast channel about the outdoors. We've got a lot of great shows on there. And if you're listening to this show and you're on our feed, our normal feed for Up North Journal, go over and check it out every now and then. We've got all kinds of outdoor shows, turkey hunting, we've got fishing, we've got deer hunting, people from all different parts of the United States. They have their own shows, and we're all kind of working together. And that's at outdoorpodcastchannel.com.
Every day you get a new outdoor show. At
least one new show, and in some cases two. Most cases two. We've actually added 3 new shows here in the last week and a half. We've added Outdoor Adventures with Jason Sacco. Actually, Outdoor Adventures with Jason. Jason Sacco is out of San Antonio, Texas. Actually, he's a Michigan guy by birth, so he's back from, or he was in this area. He moved to Texas, and he's doing his stuff down there. Okay. So, really cool show. Glad to have him aboard. And we also put on this week the Huntsman Journal with Adam Huntsman, and just a basic overall hunting style podcast. And actually today we just launched the Rut and River Pursuits podcast from a bunch of guys out in Pennsylvania. So those guys are hitting it hard, all kinds of different hunting. Actually, they're running 2 shows every Sunday for the first month at least to kind of get caught up, let everybody know who they are, and get caught up to kind of where they're at right now with their normal run. But it's I think 7 or 8 guys that kind of do roundtable discussion.
Wow.
Yeah, so pretty cool.
13 shows as of listed here.
Yeah, 13 shows. So
lucky number.
Yep. And we also mention the go back to that list again. I'll make sure I get the name right on this one. I got to find it there on the list. Where did it go? The Farmer and the City Girl. That's with Carrie Z and Sharky, talking a little outdoor farming and how it relates to, what we do, every day, whether we pick our groceries up, whether we do some farming in our backyard or gardening or what have you. Really interesting take on things from a farmer and a city girl. Obviously, Carrie's a city girl.
Met him at ATA. Nice guy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's 13 shows on the Outdoor Podcast channel. You can do something, on your way to work, you can listen to a new show every day.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. You listen to us and maybe you want something, a different style, a different because we all got different styles. Nobody's the same.
Absolutely.
Like you said, that last show had 6 or 7 guys.
Right.
You know, imagine 6 or 7 guys in here.
Be kind of crazy.
It would. Man, how do you control that one?
Right. They got to have a good moderator.
Good moderator and some good shouting matches.
Yep. But you know, we got some Wisconsin shows. We've got the one out of Pennsylvania now. A couple here in Michigan. You know, Brandon Hammonds from Take Aim's here in Michigan with us. So you know, Turkey Hunter podcast. Right now, you want to know about turkey hunting? Andy Galliano from Alabama.
Yep. It's on. It started this past week.
Down south.
I think Tennessee went off, and Florida went off, and
seeing a lot of birds on the ground.
I saw some from Conyers Outdoors. They were hitting it in Florida. I think they're hitting it in Kansas now.
Okay,
but it is turkey season.
It is,
and here in Michigan, we're just waiting for the warm up.
Well, you know, right before we started the show tonight, I had to run upstairs and grab a power cord so we could do the live stream. And actually, I looked out the back window upstairs. We got turkeys in the backfield.
Yeah, they're out roaming around,
doing their thing.
And you know that's the thing about getting outdoors. Like I said, that's kind of my plan for this week. Getting out there and starting to do some roaming and checking and looking around.
All right. So we got any questions there?
Todd Perkins says Virginia is this coming weekend.
Okay, turkey season's opening up in Virginia this weekend.
Shout out to Jason Redacki, listening from Luzerne, I do believe.
Yeah, that's right. So it ain't gonna be long, man. We're gonna be cracking them here in Michigan. I can't wait. You knocking the mic over here, making noise.
I'm just trying to make it so it don't go flying on me. Get me all excited here. But yeah, it's, you know, in the back to the outdoor podcast channel. You know, if you want to talk turkey, you want to talk deer, like you said, good old Sharky and the city girl.
Right.
So,
and you know, and something else. Right now, we're going to start doing a big spring push. Right now, Brandon and I we're kind of making this big push to bring some new shows onto the channel. If you're listening to our show and you've got a podcast and it's outdoor related, I don't care if it's, you know, canoeing, backpacking, hiking, camping, you know,
anything outdoor related.
We're looking to put new shows on the channel. You know, get a hold of us and let us know what you're interested in. We'll get you the information. Because we're wanting to really expand and ramp this thing up and get it going.
You know, you got the Big Buck Registry over there that just talks about some big bucks all
Absolutely.
the time. So if you want to talk Deer 365.
Did you see who he had on last week?
No.
A girl from Naked and Afraid. You ever watch that show?
Yes.
Crazy.
Dude, I watched that show. Matter of fact, it's on Sunday nights after I leave here. That's because I'm pretty wound up after I leave this place. I got to go home and unwind. It's one of the shows I probably watch.
You unwind by watching some naked people in the outdoors, huh?
Dude, I am sorry, but you go out there naked.
Right?
Those bug bites everywhere.
Yeah, right on.
And the best show to watch out of that show is when they'll usually throw it on once in a while. Is like the outtake show.
Right.
The behind the scenes thing.
Behind? No pun intended.
No pun intended, because it is the funniest thing, because that's when they kind of tell you the uncut stuff. And he's like, I remember the one guy, the bugs. Yes, they bite. And they bite everywhere.
Right.
You know, and it's just like, you think about that and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah.
I think what would kill me the most is the barefoot part. Walking barefoot.
You got tender feet, huh?
Yeah. Walking the barefoot into nowhere.
Yeah, if you don't have tough soles on your feet, I understand that part, because being from the South, you know, I always go down in the summers and spend time down on the farm. And I remember this to this day even. When I was a kid, you go down there, you know, you're running barefoot everywhere in the summertime. Well, all my cousins, you know, across rocky driveways, like, you know, we call it slag rock or crushed limestone. It's got the little sharp edges.
Yep.
They just walk through like, like no big deal.
Like,
we walk, and I'm like, you know, dancing. And, tender feet.
It's just one of those things, but so they had her on, huh?
Yeah, I wonder if she was naked while they had her on.
Well, they had... something tells me no.
Jay, if you're listening, that's a question we want to know.
There you go.
Just wondering.
You know, you go there, and that's the Big Buck Registry. There's also fishing out there. Fish nerds?
Yep,
right?
Fish nerds. Yep, they're up out of the Far East. They're up in the Boston area, I do believe. And we're going to get some of these guys on. That's the thing we're going to do. We're going to start doing a little round robin and having each other on each other's show, so our listeners will get to know them.
Exactly.
And check out their show.
And that's always good.
So, yep, good time. Got to like it. But that's, 2 years, man. We're rocking it.
It's a good thing, man.
And also if you're thinking about doing a podcast, if it's just in the back of your mind, it's like, yeah, I'd like to do that. Get a hold of us. We will mentor people along and get you onto the channel that way as well. So
we'll help you through it.
Yep. And we're looking to make an impact in the outdoors. That's what it's about, sharing information. So
to teach.
Absolutely. So what else going on this week, man?
This week, not really a lot this week.
I just seen Killer Food Plots. Wisconsin. Did you see what happened?
Oops.
With him and Mark Hammer.
Mark Hammer did not have a smile on his face.
From Antler Action?
Yeah, he did not have a smile on his face.
What happened?
He was kind of frowning.
The big buck that he shot in 2014.
Which he takes with him to every deer show.
Was that not 230
plus inches? 230 plus inches.
Yeah, buck, okay. This set of antlers. And luckily, he had the replicas with him. That being
the moral of the story is he only takes replicas with him to the show.
Right. Because something might happen.
You never know when somebody's carrying it and might trip and fall and chuck the mount and bounce it off the cement.
Yeah, and that happened this week.
Yeah, and it did. And actually, the picture I saw was Mark holding the left antler in his left hand, the mount over his right shoulder, which had the right side, and I think Nick was under his arm.
Nick Percy's head was under his arm, like he was getting ready to hit him with that antler.
Yeah. So we're not totally sure of the whole story.
So we need to find out.
Yeah, but we're thinking those two had something happened.
Something happened there.
But luckily it was only a replica, and super glue will fix that.
That's right.
But even then, you're off to a big show and
right. Oh,
and speaking of that, that's another thing we've got to start. It's getting into spring. What's happening? You're thinking about food plotting. Time to get, especially now to get a little bit warmer, get your soil samples out, get it in there.
That's on my agenda. We're getting ready to do that here. Hopefully, I'm thinking the weekend of the 14th, Saturday the 15th, 14th, 15th. Whatever that Saturday is, Saturday before Easter.
Right. Okay.
I've got a workshop that I'm going to for deer browse study, and while I'm up there, I'm going to stop, try to get my soil samples done, and get that off, so that way we can start getting ready to put some seed in the ground here, and talk with the guy who's going to be doing the farming or the plowing and the disking and everything on my place, and making sure he's got his tractor up and ready to roll. So yeah, it's that time of year. I'm thinking about that, making plans, getting things lined up. We got some trees that we're getting ready to plant. We got a guy that came to the property this week, looked at the property, gave us a price on planting some red pine.
Okay.
That we've already harvested one area. We're in the process of harvesting another area nearby, and we're going through that whole process. Problem we're having though is we'd like to put some American chestnut and sawtooth oaks in.
Okay.
Having a real hard time finding them right now.
Really?
Yeah, up in this area, in this zone. The thing is, you want to get trees that are kind of grown in your zone.
Well,
so
yeah,
acclimated. You can't buy them from Alabama and bring them to northern Michigan.
No, you'll shock them.
They're just not going to grow and do well. So,
and is a red? Do you know if a red pine is that a quick grower?
Generally speaking, I mean, the ones we harvested, I think, have been planted 40 or 50 years.
Okay.
Versus an oak, it could be 100, 150 years
old.
old.
Oaks are your slow ones,
depending on how big you want to let them grow. But our trees are not supposed to be over 16 inches in diameter at its widest point to be able to be run through the mill. So that's our target. We're trying to get ours cut before they reach a 16-inch diameter.
16-inch diameter.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
So that way they can fit into the mill. Anything bigger than that, we get dinged for it. Costs us money, actually. Even though they're bigger, we take a hit on the price because it has to go and be trucked to a different processor.
Yep.
So that costs money.
Right. And I know right now there's load limits on the roads because of the frosting and defrosting that's going on. And they're not moving any wood right now.
Yeah, our whole process has been shut down.
Yep. They're not moving any wood on my process either. So it's one of those things. It's like, okay, and we wait.
Right.
Hurry up and wait.
Well, we might be actually, if we don't get it done this summer, it might. If we have a wet summer, it may actually be next winter when we continue.
All right.
So we're kind of in a wait and see pattern right now.
Yeah, we're they're doing some major cutting now. They're done with my portion. They're moving on to the next portion. Then it's going to probably stop for a little bit till the end of April is when they'll truck the logs.
Okay.
That's where the April, May.
We got a few loads left to be trucked out, so yeah, we're having the same thing. We're having to wait.
All right, so it's just one of those hurry up and wait. I'm excited to get up there and take a look at it and see how it's going.
Yeah, you had a picture there. Do you still have it? It's where I can take it because I haven't looked at it yet. Obviously, people on the live stream aren't going to be able to see it. That's a logging project.
Yeah, you like that? And then
that looks pretty flat through there.
Yeah, it used to be pretty tree.
Pretty treed? Pretty dense and trees.
Okay, so if I get to this next picture here. Come on. Hello?
Lagging on you a little bit there, buddy.
Yeah, it's lagging. That's what happens when I was looking earlier.
Now, was this area here that you're showing me, was that mostly pines?
It was pines and great.
Spruce, fir, stuff like that?
Right.
Okay.
There was aspen in there. There was conifer in there, as you can see here.
A lot of softwood then. Wasn't a lot of hardwood. A lot of green.
Right.
Okay.
And you can see here, conifers laying there, aspen. Now, this is an interesting picture, because let me set this up for you. Because this is a two-track that goes to a dead end. Obviously, there's the dead end sign right there, right?
Yeah.
This side used to be fully treed.
Okay.
But they've gone in there now, and it looks like they've
almost clear-cut it.
To get it to restart. Now, you might look at that. At first, it's that shock factor, right?
Right.
You're like, oh.
Right.
But then you think about it, after the green up this year.
Right.
And then probably in 2 to 3 years, to walk through that, it's going to be pretty tough.
Right.
So I'm kind of excited about that.
It'd be interesting, yeah. Are you already... Well, you haven't been up there, so you wouldn't know.
I haven't been up
there. Are
there.
the deer already starting to get back in there and look?
The last time he walked through there, he stopped counting at 60 deer.
Okay. See?
They're there.
They're there automatically. They get right into it.
And
wait till you see it green up, man. It's going to be something else.
I can't wait. And I'm it's hard to orientate myself because I know this pole. You know?
Yeah.
This pole goes that way, does a road to the right, and I know where that leads to. And it's like, okay, so this is now going to be open, but you put 3-4 foot ferns in there, and those ferns are going to get really tall this year.
Right.
A deer jumps into that,
hidden.
They're hidden.
Yeah.
So
very interesting.
Yeah, it is, and it's just one of those things that.
Well, I tell you what we'll do when we post a podcast. We will post these pictures if it's okay with you with the podcast, so you can actually see what he's talking about.
Yeah,
very interesting.
It's just one of those things.
So, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here. We're a little past on time, so we're going to take our first break. We come back. We got a lot of other stuff we want to talk about tonight. Going to get off in the weeds a little bit on some deer management
Absolutely.
stuff. So, we'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back, everybody. Second segment of the show. Talking a little logging at your place, a little logging going on at my place. Actually, they've kind of stopped, but, talking about deer management.
Speaking of deer management, this upcoming weekend is the summit.
The Deer Summit, yes.
Sold out.
It is sold out. So we've been talking about it. If you'd like to go, not going to be able to go this year.
Right, exactly.
But we will be reporting on it next week here in the cabin.
A week from tonight, we'll be back with some good reports, we hope.
Yeah, we might even actually be able to score an interview or two while we're there, possibly.
Hoping.
So, or at least set something up.
At least set something up, because it sounds like it's going to be an interesting evening.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
I think there's going to be, it's obviously going to be one-sided because everybody's there for the same reason.
Yep. Talking about APRs, deer management in general.
Right, and Lincoln Roan spearheading that, and we had him on a month ago, 2 weeks ago. We had Tony Smith, and it's just one of those things that's going to come to a head here by June, or in June. It will come to a head, actually.
Right.
When they make their recommendations, hoping Lincoln has done his job, his due diligence that he does. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't think there'll be any protesters out front, though, will they?
I hope not.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, well, we can take care of them if we have to. Some strange way. We bring some duct tape maybe and tape them to a tree, or who knows.
Yeah, that can happen. Never bet your friends about that either. You end up on the local news. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Guy lost during the basketball here we got going on, the men's basketball. He made a bet with his friends. His team lost, so they duct taped him to the stop sign at the corner.
Oh, okay.
Well, lo and behold, everybody's calling the cops. Cops come flying in. He's like,
lost a bet.
I lost a bet. It's okay, people.
Right.
But, next weekend, Kip Adams.
Yeah, he's going to be at the event. Kip Adams, QDMA, national speaker for them, is going to be awesome. I'm really excited to hear him. We got some guys coming from the state of Michigan, some biologists are going to be there, and a lot of other people are going to be there just in general, talking about, antler point restrictions, deer management, habitat, all that stuff,
The goods, the bads.
Yeah.
It'll be, in that essence, it's preaching to the choir because we're all there for the same thing. But it'll be good to see, I think, 250.
250 people, yep.
Is the number that's going to be there.
Yep.
And you know what? They got the 12 up there in northwest Michigan. Mm-hmm. Basically, the Upper Peninsula is already doing this.
Right.
Hey, why not?
Well, going along with all of this deer management stuff, and talking about people working together and things, people like-minded being able to work in an area and make it better for deer hunting. I talked with our manager at our camp this week. We got some interesting things going on at our place.
It's about that time of year when interesting things do happen.
Yeah, well, here in the past 2 weeks, we found 3 fresh kill sites of deer. And this last week, during the week here, he found a big deer, big-bodied deer. Didn't get close enough to see if the remains, if it was a buck or a doe. He's thinking it was probably a buck, but like I said, it was tore up pretty good, what was left of it. And we know we've got coyotes on the property. We know they're running on a regular basis. At the end of last week, we had a fawn that was killed, and it was a little deer.
An appetizer.
Well, we talked about this with Tony Smith briefly before the show, but we never did get into that discussion on the podcast. And I kind of like to expand a little bit on it here tonight. And what I talked with my manager about, he said, yep, this was probably a July fawn drop. So it's probably a third rut breeding of a doe, because our buck-to-doe ratio is out of whack. So with that being said, I said, well, think about this. The reason they want these ruts tightened up, and when you say tightening them up, if you get your buck-to-doe ratio in the correct order, you don't have as many doe running around. You got bucks that are fighting over does, and they all generally get bred in that first cycle, the first rut in the middle of November here in Michigan, or middle to late November. And we've got so many doe that they're not getting they're not all getting bred. So then we got a second rut. And in our case, in our area, we got so many doe that there's even third rut.
And I think that happens up by me.
And when you start seeing during bow season, you're starting to see fawns, little fawns that still have spots. You got a problem.
You do. And if they've made it by then, because we've actually got coyotes and wolves. Mm-hmm. So we got double jeopardy.
So take this a step further. Let's work this through that. Okay, so you had a fawn drop in May, June, and July. If you've got does that are carrying into July and dropping fawns, that's 2 more months that their body is being used as a nutritional source to grow that fawn. So they're having to take on extra food, or trying to take on extra food to maintain their own health as well as the fetus. Once that's dropped, they've got a shorter window into the fall and winter to recoup and get built back up for that hard winter. Not to mention they're feeding that fawn with the milk as well.
Right, exactly.
So it's putting them in a deficit. The fawn's coming in late. It can't grow and get big enough to really get around and maintain that winter.
Because here in Michigan, when the frost happens in September, October, things start dying off. The green leafy vegetation that they rely on isn't going to last the extra 2 months that they just got pushed back, right?
Right.
Or if we get an early snowfall.
You're right.
That just...
You think about all those things, and it puts that fawn as well as that doe in jeopardy. They go into that, so they're coming out of winter now. Maybe we've had a mild winter, luckily, but an average winter here, when they get into March, the browse is gone. The food plots aren't unthawed yet. They can't dig down because usually there's ice that's frozen down deep because of freezing rain.
Yeah, depending on the weather that you had, you might have an ice storm,
all those
thaw, freeze, thicken it up.
So you just imagine what it's like getting into the spring. Now, the fawn that he saw that was killed, he said actually was pretty healthy. It looked like it was in generally good health because they killed it, they nibbled at it a little bit, and then took off. The coyotes did. They didn't just feast on it right away. It's like they were going to come back and eat on it later, which they did the next night. But with that being said, when he saw it, he said it couldn't weigh more than 40 pounds. It was little. This little guy,
Does he ever feel uncomfortable walking out there knowing that he's probably got extra sets of eyes on him?
Well, I think he's probably fully armed at that time when he's out walking
around.
What
if he has that oh my moment?
Yeah. So, dealing with that, I said, okay, now here's the situation. Think about this. We've done aerial surveys in our area within, 2 or 3 mile radius of our club, our property. We're the only major land owner in that area that really puts food plots down. We're the only landowner that's really managing our forest as well, our timber. With that being said, you've got a lot of land around us that's old growth. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot of browse underneath because it's old growth forest. It's not maintaining that healthy habitat for deer to be able to browse on. So where are the deer going to come to eat? They're coming to our property. They're hammering our food plots right now. I mean, when we got green up now, they're all over it.
You hit that property going down the road to get to yours. That's all that planted pine.
Right.
There's nothing there.
And what's underneath it? What's underneath that pine? Nothing. Pine needles.
Pine needle. You can see for a while, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're gonna go. They're gonna be magnetized to the food.
Yep, we've got water, we got food, and we got the understory also for habitat for bedding and for basically hiding. We've got all that there for them on our property. So we're pulling these deer into our property. Well, if we're pulling these deer into our property, what else are we pulling in? Coyotes.
Anything that's going to eat a deer.
Yeah, I mean, if we've got an abundance of deer, then we've got an abundance of coyotes on our property.
They're going to go right to the menu.
So, I mean, when you want to go out to eat, do you go to where there's a place where there's a restaurant, or do you go out and stumble around until you find a cow and try to cook it and eat? You go to where the food is. You know what I'm saying?
You go to the easiest place.
Meal. Exactly. If you're hungry, you're going to go to where the easy meal is.
Right.
Now, let's take it a step further. We got these coyotes coming in on our property. Now, we got fawn drop. With an abundance of deer being bred late, we got a fawn drop in May, June, July. Okay, so now we're spread. Let's say we got 100 does that are pregnant on our property. Let's say they're all generally carrying twins. So 100 deer, all of a sudden we're going to have 200 fawns. And let's say we generally split them in thirds. We've got a third of them being born, roughly 66 to 68 of them being born in May, then in June, then in July. When you spread that out, you've got 3 months of a food source. Okay,
3-month menu
being dropped generally evenly across the board for those coyotes to come in and hit a third. Versus if you tighten that rut up and you've got your buck to doe ratio in the proper order, and they generally are most of them being born in May, you dump 200 fawns on the ground, they can't eat them all. Your fawn recruitment's going to be higher.
Exactly, and also you haven't even touched on this part. Is you're talking about the does with the fawns. The bucks have got to run to breed. They don't eat.
They've got to run to breed as well. So when they're in the rut, they're generally sacrificing all their reserves and stores as well to breed these does. And you spread that out over 3 months' time versus a 1 month period of time, then you've got deer that are stressing themselves going into the late winter and not recuperating like they should.
And that, like you said, that deer was a big bodied deer. That could be one of the if it is a buck, that could be exactly what happened. He
could have been a sick buck.
Stressed him out so much, and man,
he didn't have the energy to get away.
Just didn't have an energy to get to his food source, and
Yep.
It caught up to him.
And now, and people are going to say, okay, well, you're dumping 200 fawns on the ground. You know that those, a good majority of those are going to be does as well. Well, maybe not. Depends on how you're harvesting your does, your age structure of your does. If you're killing off your older does and trying to get that in balance, then generally speaking, your younger does throw more buck fawns than doe fawns.
Right.
So then it starts to tip that balance the other way.
We've talked about that on the show, and that's how, being cognizant of what you're taking.
Exactly, taking the time, But that's what we're talking about. It's even a double-edged sword. Like, well, man, we're feeding all these deer. We're having to take care of this and manage that. Okay, well, if we're doing that and we get our neighbors around us to help work together, that's what we're talking about. Working together, like with the APRs, and things start to take off and start to grow and become better in an area.
And if your neighbors decide, hey, you know what, we're going to put in a food plot, we're going to help, that pulls X amount of deer that way.
Yep.
And then it pulls that over there, and it just kind of it spreads it out evenly.
Yep.
As opposed to being all centralized one location, right?
Right.
And that's one of the things we talk about. We're doing projects and we're planting. It's for the health of the herd. That's one of the benefits that they're going to. That's why they're coming there. They need the food,
right?
You can only.
Now, on the flip side, and you say, well, it's hard to get a co-op started. We're still dealing with that in our area of trying to get this co-op up and off the ground. We've got some like-minded people around us, but we're still not on the same page and communicating with each other. We don't have it lifted off the ground yet to where it's up and running.
Right.
We're getting there, but the other thing is, I look at this as, okay, so we've got all these deer that we're trying to manage and take care of. It gives us an opportunity if we take what we're supposed to in the right way and manage our deer in the right way, and we hunt properly, with correct hunting practices and not overpressuring these deer and not pushing them back out, these mature bucks off the property, and take older bucks, let the young ones grow, let them go and let them grow, Lincoln Roan. You're creating your own little mecca or habitat area or magnet, so to speak, and now you're the standard, and everybody's going to go, these guys are doing something different. And why are they so successful? And that's where you start that dialogue and start talking. And then boom, 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 you start putting these little pieces of the puzzle, and then all of a sudden you've got a bigger area, and it just grows and becomes a better herd overall. And that's what this is all about, is herd management and deer herd health. The byproduct is being able to shoot big bucks. It's the science that goes with it.
Big bucks, healthy does, you're shooting a healthy herd.
Yeah.
And I where I'm at up in the UP, the people around us are from everywhere. Mm-hmm. They're either local or they're from Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois. And I talked to one of the guys. His dad lived up there, right? He was getting older, and he just basically came up to deer hunt to be deer hunting with his dad because, truthfully, he was from Illinois, and he's like, I really don't need to shoot this little guy,
right?
Which is an 8-point or whatever. It's like, I'll go back home and I'd rather hunt there anyways. I just come up here to But that's just that factor. It's like, okay, so now granted, you've got some old thinking and getting that turned around.
It takes a while.
It doesn't happen overnight.
No, and that's where I've had to kind of check myself. I mean, even dynamics within our own hunting group, where I'm at, it's taken time to be able to pass along that information, educate. We had a couple really good discussions last year at deer camp after we had our big doe harvest.
Right.
There were some people that were not really happy with what happened,
and that's what it.
Here's the science behind it.
It should drive good discussion.
And it did.
Not get out of hand discussion.
No, and it didn't.
Because that doesn't work well either.
No.
But, that's the whole point. Is it doesn't happen overnight. And I do got to say, the few deer that we've checked in, they have commented that our bucks look healthy.
That's good.
Oh, wow, you guys, these look really good for your area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're doing something right. Our area is decently got enough food for them. But in that sense, I know they're doing around us. They're cutting the forest lands. Mm-hmm. You know, they go in, they'll cut a 10-acre swath out, move X amount of acres, cut another 10 acres, and they're leapfrogging, right?
Right.
And I tell you what, that helps out. That helps out the deer hunter, the grouse hunter, every hunter up there. That works, and it's just one of those things. Like you said, science.
Right.
But if it drives the discussion and you back it up with science, after a while, it makes sense.
It does. It starts making sense, and you got to be open minded. I guess that's the thing I'm saying is anybody out here listening or watching right now in the live stream, be open minded to listen. You know, don't take everything. You know, don't take what we're saying as the gospel truth. Do your own investigation. Start listening to other people and what's working in their areas and why is it working, and start putting these pieces together. You know, because what might work for me in my area might not work for you in your area, and vice versa. You know, I mean, you can change the wheels just a little bit to make it fit your area.
And Lincoln Roan is just south of the 12, and they're doing it, and they're seeing a difference. So they're not even forced to do it; they're just doing it on their own,
right?
And it's starting to work out. His dad got his biggest buck ever.
Yep.
And you know, it like you said, and also quoting Tony Smith, you don't have to have a big conglomerate. You can start with little guys. But if you put them together, the little guy that had the couple of acres next to the guy that had hundreds of acres, and you know, does he need you or does he need you? You know,
his quote to get the guy to understand was, does he need you to be successful, or do you need him to be successful? You know, it's like why does the little guy or the guy with a little piece of land want to join a co-op? And you know, really think about it. Well, my little piece of land, do they need me in my little 5 or 10 acres to be successful? No, because they're a bigger section. But if I'm going to be successful, I need them because what they're doing is working.
Right.
And I need that to transfer to my property.
Yep. So, and that's just an awesome statement by Tony.
It was. So,
and,
well, listen, we're bumping up here on our second break. We're going to run just a little bit long. We're going to step outside, take another break here, and we'll be right. Easy for me to say. Yeah, right back. I need some more coffee.
Yes, you do.
We'll be right back after this message.
So what do you do when you've completely redefined the way bows are engineered? When you've reached the pinnacle and the band starts playing your victory song, you start a revolution out of thin air. Introducing the all-new PSE Carbon Air, engineered with true carbon technology to be the lightest high-performance bow in the world. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Killer Food Plots have been helping property owners for over 20 years create premier whitetail habitat. Whether replenishing your soil with their all-natural Organics Fusion pellets or planting a premier KFP food plot seed blend to help your deer rebuild their bodies through spring and summer while supplying the much-needed high energy during and after the rut, you can trust that Killer Food Plots family and their products will help your deer achieve their full potential.
Welcome back to the segment of the show. We've been talking about deer management, coyotes, and the
deer
whole
management in April.
You're talking about logging. Well, when we log property, you know, I talked a little bit about this at the beginning of the show about planting some more trees.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you've got X amount, this is just a suggestion. In our land, our property manager actually talked about this and explained it to me, and it made good sense to me. Okay, so you log your property. Let's just say, for grins and giggles, you got $10,000, okay, to play with,
right,
and put back into the land as a number. Do you take do you spend all $10,000 at one time, or do you spend like maybe $3,000 or $4,000 the first year, $3,000 or $4,000 the second year, and $2,000 or $3,000 the last year? And he said the reason to spread it out over time is if you put all your eggs in one basket and you say, okay, I'm going to put $10,000, I'm going to plant all these trees back in this 40 acres, and you have a real dry summer, you're done.
Yep.
You shot your wad basically, and you're completely out of the game now, and all your money's gone, your resources are gone, and there's nothing to bring back. So,
Right.
His thought process and the way, because he manages other clubs in the state in northern Michigan, and the way they're doing things now and having really good success with it is the fact dividing their money up and planning it, a little one year, a little the next year, and a little the next year, and spreading out over time.
You don't. How do I say that? Yeah, no, you want to do a little bit at a time to get to the whole, because, like you said, if you put all your eggs in one basket, a dry summer, disease, something,
Right.
Whereas you say, oh, hey, year one worked,
Yeah. Or you get a bad batch of trees.
year two didn't work,
Yeah.
but year three worked. So you got 1 and 3 that worked, 2 didn't work, but yet you're already 2/3 ahead out of the 3, right? So yeah, definitely. No, I'm thinking about what am I going to do next, right? I'm gonna get the money for the logging project. Where do I want to start? I'll talk with the forester and say, okay, here's my idea. You're the professional at this. What's your thought?
Right.
So that's kind of what my thinking is, and then have a plan. All right, in 5 we'll do this, in 10 we'll do that, or whatever we come up with, And
if you're cutting bigger tracts of land too, and you're looking at planting something to reharvest at a later point in time, like 20, 40 years down the road, you start staggering your plantings. You get staggered growth rates as well, so it gives you an opportunity not to come in and cut one big section at one time. It gives you, okay, this one, this one's over here is 3 years ahead of this one. Cut this section, then 3 or 4 years later, that way you've got kind of a constant influx of money coming in as well.
Well, that's kind of the idea. Is you take your acreage, you divide it up into thirds, whatever, and if you got that stagger, you can say, okay, we're going to do a third this year. Wait. Then a third, and in between you've got 2/3 that isn't touched at different intervals. That's the perfect world, right? So you just it becomes a revolving process.
Right.
You've got fresh growth, middle growth, and older growth.
Yeah.
And it just resets itself after time, right?
Yeah, and think about trees. You're talking. This is a long process. This is not like a cash crop that you harvest every year.
This is by no means because if we're cutting it now. The next time, they say every 20 years you should be cutting.
Depending on what you got planted, yeah.
Right, depending on what comes back, and look at 20 years down the road.
Yeah.
I'll be close to 70 the next time we think about cutting. Hopefully, I'll be setting this up I'll tell the kids, all right, at 70 we're going to cut, but we're going to wait to 75 to cut
this section, right?
And then get them on the plan. And then it'll be renewable for them as well. Well,
that's what we talked about, passing things on to our kids. I talked to my daughter Madeline today. I said, if we talked about this same thing. And I said, if you happen to be the person that's taking my membership at that time, and you're managing up there, I said, by the time you get to be my age, it's going to be time to harvest what we're planting now. In 25 to 30, 35 years. So. You got to think about those things. We're not going to see the benefit of it. We're doing this for our kids.
We're doing it for our kids, and we're doing it for
the habitat.
For the habitat, so our kids can enjoy it. We might be able to reap a little bit of it towards the end.
The logs we're cutting right now. Our club was founded in 1939. There was a group of people in this area here in Michigan that wanted a hunting camp. Now, in 1939, think about what was going on in the late 30s.
Coming off the Depression.
Yeah. And they pooled together and they bought this 640 acres up in northern Michigan to make this camp. Okay? And back then, M65 wasn't a paved road.
Nothing was paved heading that way.
So think about that, and back in that time, our area that we're hunting was an old farm.
Is that what it was?
It was a cattle ranch. There was virtually no trees there. Think about that. You've been to our place.
Yep.
Very, very few trees. When you come through that front gate,
right?
All those pines, that was a field.
Oh, so they planted those.
They planted all those trees.
And that's another thing. You just kind of touched on that. Okay, how long did it take them to get there?
I don't know. A long time. Had to be.
Takes us 2 hours to get there.
Almost 2.5 hours.
2.5 from
to get
here,
to my camp.
Right? So I don't think it took them 2.5. Probably a little bit longer.
Probably 5, 6, 8 hours.
Then they probably went up there and
maybe longer.
And planted.
Yeah.
By hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was no machine planting.
No. and they planted all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of red pine.
Right.
And now all of us 9 that are there now are reaping the rewards because those people at that time had enough forethought and foresight to say, we need to do something to make this a better place to hunt. Not for us, but for the next generation.
Yep, exactly. And that's
the next generation. Actually 2 generations. So
right. So no, it's just that's a dynamic, interesting to Michigan. And we talked about this on the show. Going up north, right, just to get away from it all. Where other people in other states might go to their cottage or they might go to but they don't. They go to a building.
Yeah.
And they might. It's just like, but here you go up north. In our case, it's mainly tracts of land.
Yeah.
And you go up there, and it's like
up north has a different meaning for everybody here in Michigan. Does. But up north, everybody, when you say, what are you doing this weekend? I'm going up north. They automatically know what you're doing, whether it's hunting or fishing. In their mind, it's a certain area you're migrating to get away from everything here.
Exactly. And back in the day, when my dad and his brothers wanted to get away, to them, getting away was the UP. Mm-hmm. That was we're getting away.
Yep.
And they went. I don't even know how they ended up over there, really, to tell you the truth. I don't.
Well, think about back probably when they started going there. The Mackinac Bridge wasn't there. They had to take the ferry.
So what they did was they would meet in Mayo. Then from there, because the saying was meet me in Mayo, and then from there they'd go get in line for the ferry.
For the ferry, right.
Right. It just wasn't like you said, drive over the bridge. Nope. They got in line and waited.
Because that boat could only carry so many cars across.
At a time, right? Yep. So, no, and it's just, like you said, it's different for everybody. Where is up north?
Yeah.
You're up north to me.
Right.
Right? But, no, it's just one of those dynamics. And a lot of this is going towards preserving it for our future.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm doing now. What I'm doing, and that's kind of, Up North Journal even. What we do, I'm going to be 52 this year. I've been hunting since I was knee-high to a June bug with my dad. To me, hunting anymore is sharing my experiences with other people. Getting my kids out. Now my grandson, when he's old enough to get him out, sharing turkey hunting with you for the first time and getting you involved in it, all those different things. It's about giving back. My dad taught me. I've had my fun, and I still enjoy killing deer and eating them in the whole 9 yards. But now I've taken that next step, I guess, to give back not only to other people but to the outdoors itself.
Through the cycle of hunting, you were the learner. Mm-hmm. You gathered information. Now you're mentoring. You're giving information
to the next generation. Yeah,
right.
It's helping preserve that so other people can enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So I get as much enjoyment by getting my hands dirty, building a blind, getting in the dirt or building a blind, hanging a tree stand so somebody else can hunt it. Yeah, strategizing. Okay, so I got deer sign here, and I know they come out over here. Where's my ambush point? How am I going to set up? What wind direction? What kind? All those different dynamics that go into it. Do I kill a lot of deer? No, I don't kill a lot of deer. But I have fun for what few I do kill.
And that's exactly what I'm doing with my daughters and them getting them, okay, we're going to go up. I got to put a blind up, which now is changing. But I got a platform I can put up.
Right.
I got an idea where I want to put that for now.
Right.
So I'm going to put that up for this year. I'm not going to put up the big blind, but I'll probably just put my pop-up on top of it for this year.
There you go.
After I kind of see what's going on this fall, right?
And build off of that.
And start observing what's going on and what I can see, what I can't see, how we're going to hunt it.
Right on.
And it's that's the part. And I would like to. I talked to the Forestry. I'd like to get some aerial photos after this is all done, so I can start.
We'll take the drone up.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yep. I haven't been to your camp, so we need to get up there sometime.
Do you know how far that drone can go distance wise away from you?
I don't remember, but I know I've got a boundary set on it.
Yeah, you do.
So it can't get away from me. But
Right.
we can walk with it.
Right, exactly.
Or drive with it.
And I think we could pull this off. That'll be something.
That's what I did with our property. And actually, I should post some of that to our page and share some of that, just to kind of show what we did at our place and the outcome and how it all shook out.
Isn't technology grand?
You got to love it.
You do. And
as long as you don't crash it.
Good one.
So, well, I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our break, so let's step outside. We take our break, and we come back. We'll continue talking about deer management. We'll be right back after this.
I shoot PSE because I like one pin to 40 yards.
I shoot PSE for the perfect combination of feel and performance.
I shoot PSE because you can shoot lighter poundage and increase arrow speed.
I shoot PSE for the fastest bows on the planet.
I shoot PSE because my livelihood depends on my bow.
I shoot PSE because better engineering makes a better bow.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE.
I shoot PSE. I shoot PSE.
Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Throughout human history, one notorious killer has remained at the top and claimed more lives than any war or natural disaster combined. Mosquitoes. It's time to arm yourself and protect your family this season with Scent Blocker's new Bug Blocker for insects. Lasting up to 8 hours, Bug Blocker not only repels biting mosquitoes that can carry the West Nile virus, but other biting insects, including chiggers, biting flies, gnats, and ticks which can carry Lyme disease. Field tested by outfitters and guides from Alaska to Alabama and everywhere in between. The results are in, and Bug Blocker flat out works. In a high-potency sportsman strength dosage, using 25% no-nonsense DEET, plus 2 specific ingredients to target biting flies, Bug Blocker plays for keeps. For ultimate protection, pair Bug Blocker insects with Bug Blocker ticks.
Welcome back, everybody. Last segment of the show, been talking a lot about deer hunting, deer management, food plots, planting and harvesting of trees and all that. Speaking of...
And you know what? Speaking of that, we're talking about deer mainly, right?
Yep.
But if you do all this, it helps out everything else. Turkey.
Yep.
Grouse, rabbit.
Yep. All that stuff.
And it's just one of those things that I'm glad the state goes in and they cut tracts of land that need to be cut instead of just, no. First of all, you can get the money off of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
One thing we've been talking about at our place just a little bit, me and the manager of our property, is something we've seen here lately is controlled burns.
That's scary. That terrifies me.
Well, we wouldn't do it. We're not going to do it.
No, but just,
yeah.
I've seen that too. Oh, hey, we got to... Matter of fact, I think the O-Town boys made a comment about that.
Well, we're actually going to try to talk to some people, maybe the U.S. Forest Service.
That's who...
or the DNR, and see, okay, how do they do theirs? Who do they get to do it? Would they want to help us? Because, that's one thing, yeah. You don't want to have that thing because you could burn the whole place to the ground all of a sudden,
And then you're responsible for it.
Yeah. So if you get somebody like the U.S. Forest Service helping you, that would come in and help with that. So there's some questions I've got out there. If anybody's listening that has information on that, please forward it to me.
They've done a couple over at the park.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, how did they...
They got the right equipment.
Well, yeah, that's the number one thing.
Right.
You're not going to go out there with a torch and start lighting things on fire.
No.
And go, all right.
Well, and the thing is, we got the lake right there of the area that we want. We're wanting to control burn. So we've got a water source to put it out. The problem is you got to have the proper equipment to be able to get that water to where you need it.
You mean a hand pump and a hose won't work?
It might, but not if it's a big one.
Yeah. And we've seen what forest fires can do.
Yeah.
Jump highways and they go for
miles.
And out west, they had that out in the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
Hundreds of acres burning.
But with that, once you burn those grasses and things off, all that ash goes back into the ground. That's nutrients for the ground, and then all of a sudden, boom, the green up afterwards is incredible.
It is, and that's kind of Mother Nature's way of resetting.
Yeah, so
something
we're not saying we're going to do it. I'm saying we're just looking at it, inquiring for information.
It's one of the options, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the tools you can use to help your environment.
Absolutely.
And like I said, whether you do that, and then that'll help your turkeys because it'll give them good nesting area. It'll help the rabbits. It'll help the deer.
Right on.
It'll help everything around it.
Right.
So, Just one of those more things you get to use.
Well, everything we've been talking about, the end game is putting food on the table. It comes all the way back around. At the end of the day, what we take out of the field, we're putting food on our table.
Right.
Well, I had a mishap.
Yes.
I had a real bad experience this last week.
The beginning of the show last week, we barely touched on it because we were doing an interview.
Yeah, we didn't actually talk about it on the podcast. Talked about it on the live stream.
Right.
And for those of you on the podcast who don't know, my freezer stopped now we're 2 weeks into this, but about 2 weeks ago, at some point my freezer quit.
Yep, it quit.
And about a week later, my son found it and actually heard a few expletives come out of the basement.
Yeah, we did.
We were sitting here in the cabin.
We were getting ready to go on live. We were just getting ready to call Tony and his son. Uh-oh.
Yeah, so I go downstairs and, the lid, he cracked. Actually, the lid was raised up a little bit and he could smell it because the gases had actually expanded that much. Long story short, we found out it wasn't the freezer. It was the circuit that fed the freezer went bad and tripped a GFI.
Oh, okay.
So, with that being said, we took your advice and plugged the freezer into a good plug and refroze everything so we could get it out in a way that wasn't as messy.
Yeah.
Let's say messy. Nasty or dripping or all of that. So, we waited a week, approximately a week. So, I think it was Wednesday night. Trash day's Thursday morning. And I said, Jake, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but we got to get down to the basement. We got to get that stuff out. Oh, my Lord. Even frozen.
It ranks.
I've smelled things. Death. When I say death, I mean, I used to work on houses, and we were working on a house that burned somebody had died in. And I thought that was the worst. Burnt flesh and hair is the worst smell I thought I've ever smelled in my life. But when we got into that freezer, even being froze, I didn't puke. But
good.
But I did regurgitate several times.
It's nasty.
Oh my Lord!
And you can't get that smell out.
That's what I'm worried about. It's like, okay, is there any way to salvage this freezer at all? And if not, it's going to the road.
You know what? Now when I have meat scraps like that, that's what I do. I gather my meat scraps and I'm going to throw out. Mm-hmm. I just bag them up and put them back in the freezer.
Okay.
Because, I've thrown them in the garbage. Mm-hmm. Well, if it's during the summer and by the time garbage is like,
right.
Oh my, what did I do?
Right.
And it's like, So
we got all the meat out.
Got it all out.
There was a little bit of stuff in the bottom that had leaked. So it's still plugged in, and I said we're going to freeze all that stuff out. Then we're going to tape the lid so we can actually unplug it and carry it outside.
Get it outside.
That way the lid doesn't pop while we're moving it. Because, dude, I actually had to stand over it and get my head down in it to get the stuff on the bottom out without breathing. And even without breathing, I mean...
It gets in your nostrils.
It is so horrible.
It
was incredible. Yeah, it's worse than death. It's worse than death.
Pretty close to death. It's pretty close when you're walking out the woods and you go, yeah, I know something around here is dead.
Yeah, it doesn't even compare to that.
No, it's bad.
So,
but that happened. So it's attributed to the circuit that it was on.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, because the circuit still doesn't work. I've got to get Michael, my other son, to go down there and do his electrician thing and check it out and figure out what happened. But I'm going to check into getting like a battery backup alarm. I'm going to have him drop another, because we were sharing a circuit that this was on, and I'm like, I'm not even going to deal with this anymore. Freezer's going to have its own circuit. Boom, drop a plug. I'm going to put a battery backup on this thing as far as like an alarm. So if it does go out, an alarm sounds.
Right.
Because you don't know. I mean, it's in the basement or it's in the garage, wherever you got your freezer.
Mine's in the garage, and sometimes
you don't go out there and check it for a while. You know,
my GFI will get tripped, and if I don't catch it, if I don't catch that little light being on, I won't know. And like
until you smell it, and it's too late.
Yeah, don't want to go there. But
the sad part is we had 2 deer in there,
and you lost them both.
Lost both of them. We also had a little bit of goose in there. I'm not so upset about the time I spent, packaging that meat, processing that meat, field dressing that deer. One of them we had processed and had made into the hamburger bacon mix stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not upset about the money I spent. What I'm upset about is the fact that we shot 2 deer and they're wasted. That's the part that I have a hard time dealing with. So now Whether it's this freezer or I get another one, we're going to put some kind of alarm on it to notify, sound in case we lose power.
Right, and that's one of those things. It's just like, it is what it is, and it's like, ugh.
That is heartbreaking, man.
It is. You know, we're up here and we heard him like, oh boy, that ain't going to be good.
Well, and the week prior, you and I talked about actually taking the rest of that meat and making sausage out of it.
And we'll be doing that.
No. So the grinder doesn't get used this year, I guess.
Not these first few months.
No, maybe here at the end of the year.
Maybe at the end of the year.
So, but that's kind of
it's kind of the weekend review.
Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot this week. Been working a lot of overtime. It's time for me to kind of shake some things loose and get out. Next weekend, we're going to be at the Deer Summit.
Yep.
We come back, we'll hopefully have maybe have an interview from there, or at least be able to talk about what we saw and heard there, and then maybe get somebody on the show and talk more about it. The week after that, I'm going to be up north at a deer camp.
That will be Easter weekend.
Yeah, that Saturday. I'll be back home for Easter Sunday, but that Saturday I'll be at a habitat workshop with Anna Mitterling from MUCC and Michigan DNR. She's putting on a deer browse study workshop of teaching how to do a deer browse study, what it's all about, what to look for, and how to decipher all the information. There's going to be a couple guys there from the Forestry Service in Michigan, I don't know if it's U.S. Forestry or Division of Michigan, or there's going to be some foresters there, state foresters, I do believe, helping with this, and maybe a couple other people. I'm not sure yet.
And matter of fact, I saw a Kip Adams video of how to do a deer dropping survey as well.
Okay, yeah, I did see that.
Did you see that? How to take the 4-foot stick and go?
That, I think, kind of coincides with what we're going to be doing.
It might be, because
there's part of it that goes with it.
The best comment that was, you can't do this in the South. You can only do it in the northern states.
Why is that?
It's because you have to do it
at a certain time of the year.
At a certain time of the year, and the South doesn't really have it. It's like when the leaves, before the leaves go away in the new year.
Okay.
You got to do it like right now when you can still see the droppings on top of the leaves.
Okay. So it's when the snow melts and before the green up.
Right.
Okay.
So it was kind of interesting. It was like,
yeah. Right. So we're gonna take part, or I'm gonna take part in that. It's a very limited. I was fortunate enough to be invited to go up and partake in this, and I feel it's one of them opportunities that I can't pass up.
Right.
So I'm hoping to be able to shoot a little bit of video, maybe put a little something together. Maybe, not going to promise, but maybe. Depends on how it goes, because I really don't know what to expect. I've read over the outline of what we're going to do, and I'm hoping that we are able to do that. But if not, then that's okay too.
That'd be awesome.
Then I'll come back and share with you, and we'll go out and do one and show how it's done.
That's right. There you go.
But that's all I got for this week.
Yep. Nope. Just going to start turkey scouting the next couple of weeks, getting ready for the opener, and hopefully running after some thunder chickens.
All right. And like we said at the beginning of the show, don't forget, OutdoorPodcastChannel.com. Go over and check it out. Our show airs at 6 a.m. on Fridays is when we release this show that you're listening to right now. So maybe you got partway through, or you jumped in here towards the end, and you're like, oh, I'd like you to listen to the rest of that. And for whatever reason, you can pick a whole show up on Friday over there. You can pick it up here on our channel as well. But there's 12 other shows besides ours over there on the channel. So get over there, check them all out. We'd love to have you guys over there and subscribe to us over there.
Absolutely.
All right, that'll do it for us this week, folks. Remember, as we always say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next time on the Up North Journal. This episode was brought to you by PSC Archery,
Black Eagle Arrows,
Scent Blocker,
Killer Food Plots,
Cabela's,
Spot Shooters,
Antler Action,
Family Traditions Tree Stands,
Tom's Custom Turkey Calls,
and Badass Slingshots.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.